This is 142.2, The Kingdom.
And once again, the Lombardi Trophy has a red and gold reflection. You can doubt the Chiefs. You can dislike the Chiefs. You can disrespect the Chiefs. You're gonna have to deal with the Kansas City Chiefs.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to 142.2 The Kingdom. I'm Dominic. We got Richard. If you're listening to us, you're listening to us live via X or YouTube at youtube.com/142_2 The Kingdom. Thank you guys for joining for us today for this live stream and the podcast where you're listening to either Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening to podcasts. A lot to talk about. But we're heading into the bye, so kind of a short week for us in terms of the content. But we got to go, unfortunately, over the Bills' loss. But we thank you guys so much for joining us tonight. So let's start off with the unfortunate loss in Orchard Park to the Buffalo Bills, 28-21. Honestly, like the score didn't really do justice to how well the Bills played against our Kansas City Chiefs. Absolute domination. Josh Allen played really, really well. Mahomes had his worst completion percentage of his career. A late pick when trying to get to Xavier Worthy. A couple of deep batted passes for Hail Marys at the end. It didn't look pretty. 53% pressure rate by the Buffalo Bills. It's as high as what the Eagles did in the Super Bowl and when the Tampa Bay Buccaneers did it a couple Super Bowls ago. So a lot happening to this Chiefs offense. Then the defense didn't really do much either, unfortunately. What were the main takeaways, in your opinion, Richard, to this loss?
Well, besides the fact that it's our regularly scheduled regular season loss against the Bills, like, can I just say that and we can move on?
Yes, sir.
But other than that, I mean, I just don't know what the game plan was, if I'm being honest. After going back and watching that game again, I struggle to understand the general thought process behind what they must have seen on film going into the game, because not a whole lot of what I saw looked like the brand of football that this team has been playing for the past month. And it really showed itself right from the first snap of the game. If anybody follows Mitchell Schwartz on X, you should, because he gives really great breakdowns of stuff that he's seeing and where he thinks problems turn up. And really, it just became apparent from the first offensive snap of the game that something was just off about just the play calling in general. I didn't really get a whole lot of what they were trying to do. Defense, I mean, they did way better in the second half. They didn't allow any points in the second half. The Bills really couldn't get a ton going until they had to ice the game away. But that first half was just a lot of the same issues that seemed to pop up in their other losses. A ton of zone coverage, and I mean a ton. Just in week one, just in isolating this week alone, they played 80% of the defensive snaps in zone coverage. I mean, and Josh Allen ate that for breakfast, lunch, and dinner the entire afternoon. Tight ends had a phenomenal day against our secondary. And once again, I'm putting a bolo out for Jaden Hicks. I don't know where he is. I don't know where he's been. Is he a real person? I don't know yet. 9 weeks into the season because the man is not getting on the field, and I don't know why. So this bye week is probably coming at a good time, personally, because I think there's a lot that they kind of have to figure out and figure out, all right, what have we done well through this first 9 weeks of the season? What have we not done well? And I personally think there's some personnel decisions that need to be made over this bye because there's just certain things about this defense that just don't make sense to me that keep being done, and the results are not great every time. So I think this is a good time to reset right in the middle of the season and try to figure out what they need to do to come out strong going into the second half of the season, because it doesn't get any easier from here.
How's it going, Trizzy?
Hey, what's up, guys?
What are your initial thoughts about the matchup on Sunday?
We just couldn't stop the run. James Cook had a day. Not able to stop the run, not getting much penetration from up front. I really thought it came down to a couple of plays. I don't like the intentional grounding penalty. They really should have picked that up. That made it a little difficult as we were driving. We ended up playing, then they ended up going for a 4th and 17, which was crazy. But I mean, to have that much faith to go to a 4th and 17, and just have that play call for a 4th and 17, but then some of the just miscues with whether it be personnel or execution, we were just getting beat off the ball. Obviously, we were down 3 offensive linemen, so maybe, of course, that's going to bother the game plan a bit. But I'm not mad. I mean, you give up the run like that. Patrick Mahomes had one of his worst games. Just one of those days for us. I don't really take too much into it, knowing that we're going into a bye week. We got some really big games coming up, so we need guys to be healthy. Excited to see what maybe Christian Fulton can bring to that secondary to allow Trent McDuffie to move around a little bit more. I don't like that we were being so passive on the defensive side. Usually we blitzed a lot this season. We veered away from that in this game, just doing stuff that's unlike us. I think we do have some identities that we can identify the team as. I just think they need to be consistent through this backstretch for them to obviously lean on some of those strengths. But again, it's not where everybody thought we would probably be 9-10 games into the season, but I guarantee the team is a great team and they still have room to grow. So I wasn't too high, too low. I was disappointed with a bit of the situational stuff with Patrick Mahomes. But when you're down 3 offensive linemen and you're trying to run around and make plays, that's what happens. So got to get back to the group that he trusts, got to get those guys healthy. Excited for what they can do after the bye. Who's to say they can go on a 10, 11 game streak run, never know what happens. But I think the biggest thing is that I've been paying attention to is the close game stuff. If we gonna have to win those close games, we got to execute late in those moments. And I think that's the difference between being an 11-0 team with miscues last year to a team that's supposed to be better in certain aspects. But again, those miscues are piling up, or those mistakes, or those downs that you wish you had back. Now you're giving extended grace to another team, and this is the NFL, so guys are going to capitalize, especially guys like Josh Allen, who played out of his mind terrific Sunday at Orchard Park. So shout out to the Bills, man. They got it done, but looking forward to that matchup later on.
100%. So to be frank, I wasn't able to watch it live, so I had to watch it on replay, unfortunately. But when I rewatched it, it was just because I kept getting updates on my phone. Even if I can't watch a game, I just kind of need to know what's happening. But I mean, when the Bills just looked ready to play and the Chiefs didn't, and it's disappointing, obviously, but you could say the typical, oh, you guys won the regular season, we'll see each other in playoffs stuff that we always talk about. I was just kind of disappointed based off of how well our offense has been clicking as of late, and against a Bills defense that was injured and just not playing that.
Yeah, not great football. If I'm going to be honest with you, against the defense, Trizzy, I don't know about you, but defense that missing their best cover linebacker, missing one of their starting safeties, missing both of their starting D tackles.
Don't know what happened there. My bad.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. But to kind of piggyback off of that, yeah, I expected a lot. I expected a little bit more out of the defense, or out of the offense, I should say, for a defense that was missing a starting safety, both starting D tackles, their best cover linebacker, their slot corner. Just with what was out for them, the uncharacteristic mistakes that this offense was making just became even more magnified because these are primarily backup defenders you're going against, and yet they were still able to get a ton of pressure. They were still able to play a lot more dime coverage than it looked like. That was a complete curveball that the Chiefs weren't expecting and seemingly just didn't adjust to as the game went on. There really wasn't a whole once again, not taking advantage of the fact that they were begging you to run the football, not really even using quick game like we normally use quick game. Pretty much no RPO action, no quick outs, nothing really at the line of scrimmage that is a normal extension of the run game for us. Just a lot of deep routes, a lot of deep posts, a lot of go balls, no comeback routes, and not really a whole lot of work over the middle unless it was a scramble drill by Pat. So I'm kind of touched on earlier, I'm not really sure what the offensive game plan was. I'm not sure what they saw on tape going in. I'm not sure exactly what they thought they were going to see, but it seemed pretty clear they did not see it on Sunday
think
afternoon.
There's like this kind of small, tiny narrative about how the Chiefs, when it comes to the Bills in the regular season, kind of go with a vanilla game plan and try to see if that works. It's a tiny, very tiny media narrative that's been happening and talking about lately. But I feel like with the margin for error being slightly smaller this year, I kind of wish we would have opened the playbook a little bit more. But it's not to say that the Chiefs can't still win the division, but we play the Broncos twice, and I'm confident we can beat the Broncos twice. But the Broncos have been looking very good defensively and having spurts of good offensive game. And then you got the Colts, and then sprinkling here and there of some maybe trap games or tough games. But the margin for error now to win the division is you at least you can have one game that you can lose. Because if the Broncos still stay hot, it's going to be a 12 wins to win the division. And if we split with the Broncos and we still have the same record, it's not going to be the division for the Chiefs. So I kind of wish they were a little bit more aggressive and really tried to take advantage of what the Bills were giving them. Because I keep remembering that Bills game, and I know it's like 5 years ago, but like in 2020, when they were daring us to run the ball, and we just fed Clyde Edwards-Helaire like 25 carries, and Mahomes he had a good stat line, but he wasn't the main reason they won. It was letting Clyde cook. And they were daring, the Bills this weekend were daring the Chiefs to run the ball, and we just kept passing it. So I'm a little bit frustrated. Do I still think the Chiefs have a really great shot at winning the division and winning out? Of course, but there's a lot of stuff I wish that could have been better about Sunday. It's kind of hard for me to dwell on it because at least we're at a bye. And I know a lot of people are upset, Chiefs Kingdom wise, about us not making a move in the trade deadline. But I feel like you said, Richard, a couple weeks ago, like I didn't really expect them to make a move. If they were going to make a move, I didn't want a running back. I wanted a defensive pass rusher.
Yeah, nothing happened that I didn't expect on our front. Anyways, I didn't expect the Jets and essentially to go as crazy as they did. But hey, I think that I'm gonna be honest. I think the Jets ruined Christmas for everybody else because of just what they got back for everything that they were giving up, then everybody else probably was like, oh, well, I guess we're not going to get anything from anybody else because then they're just going to use the Jets as a reason why they didn't want to sell anything. So it is what it is on that front. Brees Hall would have been great, but I think the Jets just got greedy at the 11th hour based on what happened earlier, and it just didn't happen. I think this team the thing about the Chiefs is they want to go into seasons not having to make trades at the deadline. They want to have the team that they feel comfortable about the entire year, so they don't have to make a trade at the deadline. Usually, that's why you have somebody like Christian Fulton on the roster, even though he hasn't played hardly all year. That's why you go and get a third running back before the season, so you don't have to necessarily trade for one during the season. Injuries, of course, notwithstanding. I think with the current cap constraints and knowing what you have to do next offseason just to get cap compliant, let alone whoever you're going to give a contract to. This just didn't feel like a season where it's like, oh yeah, they could go add, a moderately big name at the trade deadline if they wanted to. They would be looking for something like what could have been a Malik Collins, a decent, a guy, someone who's having a pretty good year, but who still keeps you cap compliant and it doesn't mess with the scheme or anything like that. So didn't wind up happening. Kind of expected it not to happen, but I still think that this is a team that can fix the issues that they have through 9 weeks of the season internally. I don't think the sky is falling. The offense, Sunday notwithstanding, has looked good for the past month plus. Josh Simmons is back in the building, so your offensive line is solidified for the remainder of the season. If something happens with Jawan Taylor and his ankle, cool. You can just slide Jalen Moore over to right tackle, and you're still good. So I think it's just a matter of personnel. I think they need to figure out who do they want primarily running this offense for the remainder of the season. Because I think that's been what the big overarching problem with this team is I don't know what the identity is. I know you get the general idea that obviously they're a passing team. That's who Andy Reid has been since he's been here. And everybody knows that. But who are you trying to structure yourself around? That's not obviously Rashee Rice because he's your number one wide receiver. I think that's part of the issue as well is for the past 3 weeks since Rashee Rice has been back, we've been trying to get him featured and acclimated back into the offense. And I feel like that issue came to a head on Sunday because they kept trying to force him the ball in situations where other options were available, but they weren't even considered based on either predetermined reads or what the predetermined structure of the play was. And I think we kind of have to get back to what we were doing for the 3 weeks prior to this was We're spraying the ball around. We're getting the ball out quickly. We're not necessarily trying to beat you over the top every other route, but we have the ability to because we've forced you to think about neat stuff. So I think the big thing for me on offense is we just have to figure out who is going to be on the field to do that. Tyquan Thornton hasn't been on the field hardly the last few weeks
since
Rashee Rice
Rasheed's come back. Yeah.
Xavier Worthy, I get he's hurt. I get that he's still dealing with that labrum, and he's going to for the rest of the season. But he's not just a go ball and a quick pitch guy to try to make somebody miss in space. That's not his game. That's not the only thing he can do. You can still send him on these intermediate routes. You can still have him run a comeback route and trust that he's going to get down and not take a gigantic hit once he gets the ball. There's too much right now that feels like they're constraining the guys that they do have, or they aren't utilizing guys in the right spots or to their full potential in this offense. And that's what I want to see them do, is try to figure that out. How much are we going to use these guys? Who's going to do what? How is it all going to flow once we get out of these first 15 plays? Because after the structured stuff, it just looks like everything is out of sync, and Pat is just trying to make something happen until somebody comes open, and then we get a 25-yard completion. Because that's not as we saw something, that's not a sustainable thing. When your average depth of target is almost 15 yards, that's not in structure of the offense. Like that's a result of scrambling and finding somebody. That's not stuff that feels like it's in structure. It just feels like it's all out of whack right now, with guys coming in, guys coming out, moving guys to places we haven't seen them all year. It's probably the most I've seen Tyquan return kicks all year. And the only times he got in was late in the game on offense.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. You in a lot of different places.
Yeah, but that's just how it feels in general. It feels like we're all over the place with some of these things.
I don't agree with that. One game isn't going to make or break what the general play calling or consensus has been. It's a tough game. You lose 3 offensive linemen that start, and we're playing already with a backup. I mean, I don't know what we expect. I mean, Joe Bosa had 2 sacks. He hasn't had a sack in 7, 8 games. So I mean, if C.J. Hansen was out there, Wanye Morris was out there. Like, I don't know what you expect from those guys, but it's not going to be anything like the first group. So, going to struggle. Going to have to get the ball out quick. Beat us to spots. Was more physical. And then like how we gave up the run. I thought we were aggressive on 4th downs. We weren't against Buffalo. We punted the ball 4th and 1, 4th and 2, 4th and 5. We went for those. So I didn't like that decision, but I understand. I mean, everything considered, when everything is on the line, I trust that team. So I know that stuff will be on the line coming up out of this break. So it'll be interesting to see how the guys respond. Get some guys back healthy, get the locker room back moving. It's great to have Rashee back. I'm excited to see how they understand it, what they have, and being able to put together a game plan. Those things takes time. It's not just we plug you in and you get this many yards and productions out of the season. I think, football is hills and valleys. Once those guys start getting more familiar with those hills and valleys, you'll start seeing stuff more consistently. But I just think it's a little too quick to say that stuff has been out of whack. Everything's been great. We've been the top 5 offense last 3-4 weeks in the league. So I'm not going to let one game take away what those guys have done as a unit. I think they just need to show up in the game when the lights are bright. Their lights was a little brighter, 7 points more brighter. So we got to go back to the drawing board. Obviously, Denver's a tough opponent. They got a great defense, but we're gonna have to figure it out. Because we can't drop any more divisional games or conference games. So we're gonna have to come with it after the bye.
100%. I would like to see more Taekwon Thornton. I think that's something that's definitely been missing since Rasheed's gone back. But I mean, he's had a couple plays here and there, but like the way he was playing up until Xavier Worthy, even when Xavier Worthy got added to it, I was very impressed. So, and I know Hollywood's kind of gotten up and down year. I know he's been producing, especially when Xavier got hurt, and he's had some big chunk plays, but there's a couple times where I'm just like, I'm surprised Taekwon's not in Hollywood is, but I mean, that's kind of how Andy Reid runs his team, though. It's just not like a set 4 guys. It's an amalgamation of a lot of different pieces consistently every week. So the only people that are consistently going to be on the field are going to be Mahomes, Kelsey, and Rasheed at this point. I know Xavier's still working on his injury, but it's kind of just what I'm used to over the past, at least since Tyreek left. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. I was kind of surprised that it was as close as it was at the end. It was kind of baffling, Sean McDermott going for a field goal there, but that's one of the advantages of taking on the Bills, is that sometimes Sean McDermott kind of gets in his own head. And I don't know if you saw this, but there was a couple Bills players talking about what they saw on film to the media, and it got to everybody else. Like, I forget the second-year corner from Buffalo that played really well. Cole Bishop, is that his name?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was talking about how he saw a tell in Xavier Worthy when he wants the ball and when he's not wanting the ball, to the media out there, acting like, why would you say that after a regular season game and not like when the whole season's over? There's just certain things that the Bills kind of do to themselves, even when their success is there, that just might ultimately bite them in the butt. Josh Allen did play out of his mind, 23 to 26, 3 total touchdowns, very efficient. He's already he's back to being the MVP front runner, but the margin for error is small. But if there's any team that can get it done, I believe this team can do it. Like Trizzy said, the offense before this game was electric, and they still have the ability to be electric. Bills they came to play. They was at home, and they did what they were supposed to do. So that's kind of why I was surprised by the spread and them not being favored. So if you put money on the Bills plus 1.5 or plus 2, congratulations. But now we're into the bye week. A couple teams made some moves. Jets basically gave up a lot of stuff. Get some players for a lot of picks. Sauce Gardner is now in the Colts, who we play in 3 weeks. A couple players that we kind of thought would be great for the Chiefs, like the guy from Miami that got traded to Philly.
Jalen Phillips.
Yeah. Rashid Shaheed went to the Seahawks.
Seahawks. Bradley Chubb didn't get traded.
There was Nate Taylor was saying that we were connected to Bradley Chubb. So I think
I'm not
what
sure
sucks,
exactly how much I believe that, but I think they spent too much time trying to get Breece Hall, personally. But
I think it was a bad idea for on our side. I think firing the GM from Miami before the trade deadline sucked, because I think Miami might have actually sold more in that case, in my opinion, but give or take. Yeah, we're on the bye week. We're 5-4. I know it's not what any of us predicted. I think before the season, I said our floor was 12-5. That might be the ceiling so at this point, but I mean, those first 2 games were really rough, and then after the Giants game, our offense really clicked. And with a couple of mistakes here and there, I mean, we're doing great, in my opinion. Just certain things need to be shorn up. One game against the Bills is not going to make me jump the ship and think that this team can't make the playoffs or even win the division. Bills are just ready to play. But doesn't mean I wasn't disappointed or, critical of some things. But so we have the bye week. Then we're on to Denver. I thought we could go around and just talk about what we're happy about with how the team's been, even though we're 5-4, and maybe something that definitely needs to be corrected. I know we talked about that a little bit by talking about the Bills game, but some of the stuff I've been really liking is just when the offensive line, I know the last game thrown out, has playing really well. I know Josh Simmons has been dealing with the stuff, but like you said, he's back in the building. I think Josh has been superlative at the left tackle position. Kingsley has grown a lot in that left guard position, and when we're all intact, we're pretty unstoppable and not a lot of pressures or sacks in Mahomes' way. So that's something I'm really happy about, and just seeing Rashee Rice back has been great. And stuff I think that needs to improve is just sometimes I've been very confused on snap counts when it comes to the defense. Like some weeks it's like Noel Williams doesn't get a lot of snaps at corner. And then like last week, Jane Hicks only gets 4 snaps. Like I kind of just want solidification in terms of that. And I think maybe we won't be as down on the defense certain weeks as others. But that's just me.
I wouldn't say that I'm not in love with some of the execution on the defensive side. I would have loved for us to be a little bit more aggressive on that side of the ball. Offensively, I want to see more from Jawan Taylor. I think he's just a better player than what he's put on film, but he has been better with the penalties. And when he's not getting penalties, he's a good right tackle. So hopefully he's healthy coming into this Broncos game. We're going to need him. I don't want to put Wanya Morris out there. Love to get the O-line back. I think that helps out a lot with the play calling, with the timing, with everything, with the field. Just having those guys back everybody back healthy, along with getting Zay a break, and obviously Ford getting back into speed and getting everybody involved. Now you understand what the bye week is. You can measure the season, understand what you guys need to execute in order to win those tougher games, those closer games. Start putting it on film, and I think we'll see a much better result going into the second half. We're usually successful coming out of bye weeks. We definitely gonna need it up in Denver. I love the way that we step up the challenges, and this team is not shy of that. I think they've done that. We just stuff haven't went our way necessarily. I do think there's a couple of plays away from being maybe 7-1 or whatever the record is. Football is just that simple. So just coming down to making those plays, which I think we have shown throughout the years that, when stuff gets rough, we dig a little deep. So hopefully they still got some fight left in them, which I know they do. So I'm excited to see where the team goes, how we attack coming out of the bye week. Obviously a big game coming right out of the bye week with a opponent in their house, so Broncos country is going to be loud. But I'm looking forward to how we respond as a team and be able to come together and make some plays and, just keep it going from there. I think that'll be a big momentum booster going into the Colts game and finishing the rest of the season on a high note, understanding where you are in the AFC, understanding what you need to execute and what you need to take care of. So I'm excited to see where the team goes. I think there's a lot of positives, a lot of things you can pick and nick at, but I think we're a great football team. I just think we need to be more consistent on both sides of the ball. I thought we've been that up into the Buffalo game. I thought there were just a few miscues that we can fix. So I'm excited for the guys, and hopefully they continue to put great stuff out here after the bye week up in Denver.
Yeah, I think just in general, the execution's been off. I think if they're able to clean that up, I think the second half will look a lot better than the first half. The offensive line, obviously, being all together helps with that. But I think just in general, cleaning up some of the executing on some of these early downs would help as well, because a lot of times we're just behind the chains, and it feels like in a blink of an eye we're at 3rd and 7, and you wonder what the heck happened to 2 of those play calls. So that's the biggest thing for me, is just it's the little things that they just have to clean up. If there's been a couple of really nice bright spots. Brian Cook has played like one of the best safeties in the league this season, so it's nice to finally see him healthy. It's nice and back to where he was his first couple of years before he got hurt. So that's been really nice to see. And I like that even though the record isn't great and sometimes the execution is a little off, you still see the creativity of how Andy gets people open and how he maximizes guys. I love the wrinkles with Rashee Rice in the backfield. I love the different kind of ways that they're trying to get Brashard Smith into the game and kind of give him his opportunities and still at 36 years old, Travis is still one of the best pass catchers in the league. So, and he's still finding ways to get wide open for Patrick to cook with him. So even though it's been more of a struggle this season and in some areas, and the record kind of reflects that, this is still an explosive offense, even with pieces going in and out seemingly on a weekly basis. So I think that is a good sign for the rest of the season, that if everybody just stays healthy, I think that they can go 7-1 in these last 8 games and be 12-5 and have a chance to division. Or they could run the table, go 13-4 like I predicted the start of the season, and have the AFC West and contend for a top seed in the AFC. So I don't think all is not lost, because I know how this conference works, and there's still a whole ton of big implication games left. The Patriots still have another Bills game that they have to play. The Bills still have to see the Eagles, and a couple of the teams still have to see the Eagles. The Jaguars still have 2 matchups with Houston left. So, the Colts have us in a couple of weeks. I think they still have a couple of other games in there that could trip them up. And they had a really, really poor showing against the Steelers. Again, the score doesn't reflect how badly they played in that game. So I think there's still a lot of football left. There's still a lot of implications that this picture in the AFC could look entirely different in just 3 weeks. And really, I think if they just take care of their business, then we'll be right back in where we felt we were going to be once the season started. And it starts, what better way to start it than by getting back in the win column against a division opponent?
Absolutely.
100%. So sometimes football fans and Chiefs fans need a break, and it's nice to have this break this year at week 10 compared to last year at week 5. So
Yep.
They're going to have a nice break, get out of the house, enjoy time with their families, and then get right back into football. And that game against Mile High is going to be very telling. And I'm excited. And that's kind of it for tonight. Y'all enjoy your bye week. Enjoy some football. And yeah, we'll see you guys next week, same time, 7:30 p.m. And on X, YouTube, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Guys, have a good night and take it easy. All right.